if you guys know me, like, have we sold anything different? No. As a matter of fact, for the large majority, are we still selling like our #1 like flagship program? Are we still selling the same thing we've sold in the last 4 years? Yes, we have. And this segment, you know, I've gotten a lot of questions this year about what are you doing differently? I get so many messages. What is your strategy now? What's the new widget? Like, what's the easy button? What are you doing different? And I know this sounds maybe a little bit woo, which is going to be this topic, but I actually slowed down. I actually slowed down. Yes, I slowed down and I went in. This has been a year of going in and tapping into my inner knowing, my inner intuition, and creating space. I've actually taken more vacation than ever, right? I took half the summer off, actually. And so what I want to tell you, and the reason I'm going to bring these amazing humans up here in just a minute, is because it's everything that embodies what I said earlier today. It's not just business strategy. Bodies build businesses. And I slowed down this year and my business took off. I slowed down this year and went within and my business took off. I slowed down this year and I got healthier. I got happier and I got wealthier. And the 4 people that I'm going to bring up here this afternoon is going to be a beautiful segue as we move into tomorrow, which is the woo of business. You know, I told you that bees in the hive, they can control their environment. They can control the temperature and they can control the chemicals that truly change the behavior of the environment. We can do the same thing with ourselves when we go within. When we tap into our subconscious, when we get connected with our source, right? And so this afternoon, I'm gonna blow your effing minds with some incredible humans who have a zone of genius and a couple of different areas of woo that I have worked with them individually and learned tremendously and grown tremendously. So the first, I'm going to introduce you guys one at a time because I know everybody hasn't met some of you. I'm going to start with Miss Sam. Come on up. So much. So some of our VIP members got to meet Sam yesterday. So Sam has been, I like to say that you are my spiritual coach, but also my executive coach. Yes, let me give you my microphone real quick. Yeah, you've helped me tap into my inner knowing. You've helped me get stronger in my faith and my connection to source and taking my gifts to impact at a higher level.
Right. That's what it's all about, right? And the slowdown, which you're just talking about, the slowdown, we have to get there first before we can really tap in.
Yes.
And then everything starts like move so good, flowy, and just like that song. Yes. Being balanced between the masculine and the feminine.
So I am so excited to have you here on this panel today. You're going to hear so much genius about you. But Sam and I have been working together for like 4 or 5 years.
We're at month 6.
Really?
Isn't that cool?
Go ahead and reconvene. Okay. So I'm going to have you have a seat here, and you can sit wherever. Where do you sit? No. How many of those are there? 4. You sit right there. Just grab what's comfortable.
There you go.
All right. This next amazing human, how many of you guys have the Mastery app downloaded? Okay, so by the time you leave tomorrow, like everybody's hands are going to be up. This amazing human, I have actually discovered a version of breathwork called holotropic breathwork a couple of years ago. Has anybody done that type of breathwork? Like rocked me to my core, but it was really intense and took like 3 hours, and I didn't know how to process any of it, and I didn't touch it again for like two years because I was like, what the fuck just happened, right? And then I started continuing been on my journey and my inward journey this past year. And I was attending an event with a dear friend where this amazing human actually was conducting a hypno breathwork session, which I've never been exposed to before. And I had such an incredible experience, had so much clarity, got in the flow, came up with so many ideas in less than 30 minutes while breathing. I was like, who is this human? I have to get closer to her. And I ended up signing up, getting certified in breathwork with her, signed up and went to Bali with her this year. And we're collaborating on lots of cool things. And so, Francesca, I am so excited to invite you up to stay. And we have like a whole Bali room over here. Yes, yes, yes. So you can have a seat. Yeah, we're gonna bring in, I've got two more. I just want, you guys haven't met Francesca. Well, some of you haven't, and some of you worked with Sam yesterday. So I just want to make sure we have like a formal introduction of who is who here. Now, Tracy, you met just a minute ago. She needs no further introduction. So come on up, girlfriend. Yes, that's you. We've got, oh my God, there's 4 8s. Aaron, watch out.
She's a 5, and that is like the perfect person to be up here with 8s.
That is hilarious.
So
That's just totally on here. I picked 3 out of 4 woos that were 8s, to be honest. All right, okay.
that's a tell. That is a tell when an 8 gets healthy.
Short introduction, you guys got to meet Erin this morning with a beautiful guided meditation, but she did a beautiful workshop yesterday in our VIP session around the somatics of business and how bodies truly build businesses. And she has taught me so much, and I've learned so much about the somatics of our body and how we can work through these energies and process many of the things that we go through with life. And with that, Erin, I am so excited for you. Jody, do you like how like I'm sitting over here from that yellow and then the reds are in between and then yeah?
Amazing. Totally.
I love this. Okay, Erin, how is it sitting up here with 4 8s? I was just thinking about that.
Good luck.
Okay, so all of these humans like have their gifts in the world of woo, but they're impacting business in a way that's creating a ripple effect in this planet with business owners and how business owners operate and create impact. And I wanted to start, I like just to go deep, like that's what ACE is, let's just go, right? Many of us have had rock bottom moments that actually have brought us to potentially our zones of genius and what we do today. And I'm curious, and actually not that, you know, well, I mean, sometimes our rock bottom story is really good, but I would love for those of you who have a story around, I know for me, it was literally, you guys heard me maybe when I was talking with Danae, I made $1 million and I was still in the red. Working harder was not solving my problems. And it was that moment of like literally surrender for me, like nothing was working, that I was finally open to picking up a book by Dr. Joe and being like, let me see if I can. This woo shit sounds like stupid, but everything I'm doing is not working. And I like tapped into it and it has literally changed my life. I wondered if you guys had a story around rock bottom that brought you to the expertise that you're in today. Do you want to let anyone know?
Like I have multiple.
Same.
Multiple breakdowns and breakthroughs, but the one that really led me into a lot of somatic work was I spent most of my life in and out of the hospital, a lot of stress, high achiever, go, 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 do all the things. And when I was growing my business, I was chasing strategy and the next thing, you know, the next income high, the next thing, whatever accolade I could achieve, because that was going to help me feel safe. And so I had major adrenal fatigue, everything was tapped out. And I was like, there's got to be a different way. And I was into personal development, personal growth work, and was really working on my mindset. But what I realized was everything was just stored in my body, and I couldn't think my way out of how to feel better. I would say there's a difference between like reporting about an emotion versus actually speaking from the emotion. And I could tell you and think from it and describe it, but I couldn't actually get in my body. And so through a lot of like attachment work, somatic work, I realized everything was housed in here. And I used my body, I said this yesterday, as a storage house for everything: control, trying to feel safe, trying to feel enough, trying to feel worthy. And I realized I couldn't make my way to the next level. I needed to actually get in here and process and be with, so I could create from a regulated space, not a dysregulated space.
So good. And we'll unpack it in a minute a little bit further as far as like what you do today. What about you, Sam?
I could tell you about when I started living on my own when I was 16, but I won't. I could tell you about how I'm a 3-time cancer survivor, but I won't. I could tell you about how 15 months ago I was in the hospital for a heart condition, but I won't. But all of those were minor awakenings, one at a time, that led to, I mean, they're all this massive, right? But really what happened was I was working for this nonprofit, International Relief and Development, and it was beautiful. I loved it. And I was on my way to the C-suite. I was on track for that. And I was up for a promotion that was, I'd already gotten a promotion, and it was very quick. Another promotion was coming, and I went into HR, and this woman told me, "You're rising too fast." And I said, no. And I was really, really lost, because before that I was a trauma therapist, so I'd seen it all, I loved it, it was such a beautiful path. And in that time had gone through a lot of different things to bring me to this awakening within myself. And I can tell you a million rock bottoms that happened. So I know in this room, we haven't just experienced one rock bottom, right? It's like we've had a lot. So don't worry, that means you're going somewhere. But the moment that I was told that I was rising too fast was really like the make or break moment. It was either go get another job with somebody else and try to climb the ladder once again, or I trust in myself completely and trust in what my gut was saying, and trust in my body, and trust in the hell yes, and trust in the fuck no's, and just go after it. And that's when I started like really, really going all in on my coaching business. And it was during COVID where I got to marry my executive coaching with all of the woo-woo and energetics that I had been doing and practicing my whole life, and bridge the two and really make huge impact through conscious leadership. Not only for myself as a leader of my own business now, but all of the executives that I've been working with. So it was a lifetime of experience.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know you said COVID really made corporate leadership.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was on the chopping block. I was like, oh, what I offer is an accessory. But really, it was what everybody needed. Yes, it was the opposite. It was so powerful. I had these executives come to me one by one saying, I can't do this work the same way that I've been doing it this whole time. Everybody's sniffing me out. And I was like, yeah, it's the bullshit. Like, and they're like, and I don't believe it. And I'm like, yeah, finally, thank God we broke through this systematic oppression, honestly. And so we got to really, really dive deep into the soul of the who, the what, and the why in the most authentic way. We talked about authenticity yesterday with the VIPs, and it was really like, who are you as a leader? And if you want to lead big business, you have to lead really big here first. And that's where the magic happened.
So
It was beautiful.
So good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Francisca.
Yeah, I think my rock bottom happened when I got everything that I thought I wanted, And I think a lot of people might relate to that. I probably watched one too many rom-coms when I was a teenager. I just really wanted to move to Manhattan and work at the big advertising agency. And I ended up doing that. I was at the best creative agency. I was an account director on Google and Marriott. I went client side to Bacardi, was on the private jets and had the condo in Bermuda and multi-million-dollar projects. And when I got it all, I was like, great, I'm miserable. This is not what I thought it was going to be. And when you're chasing all those things, you're almost addicted to the adrenaline. And when you get it, it forces you to slow down and really start to observe what makes you happy. And at that point, I was highly addicted to Adderall, Xanax, and Ambien without ADHD, by the way. I just was that obsessed with productivity and just needing that hustle in New York. And when I finally took a beat to hear myself and what I really needed and what I really wanted, it was a one-way ticket to Bali. And Melissa knows that Bali can be, but that's where I discovered breathwork and everything changed.
Yes, so good.
Well, you heard a few of my rock bottom moments earlier, and you know, it is like new levels bring new devils. So just know until you're done here on earth, there's gonna be earth shattering, holy shit, you don't get it till you get it moments. Just sign up for it, right? But the one that I didn't really talk about, you know, I grew up in the home, the abuse, the sexual assaults, the alcoholism, divorce, recession, my own alcohol, like those were big, huge rock bottom moments, no question about it. But I would say the one that led me to the work I'm doing today was 7 years ago when, you know, like Erin, I had a full body breakdown. And the gift is, and I know all of these women believe this, like the ultimate compass is our healthy nervous system and our intuition. But so often we bypass out of it into, you know, our heart, our head, and our instincts, right? And we bypass the divine source given knowing and feeling in our body. And as eights, like we think we're invincible and bulletproof. So we power through life kind of doing that. And although that has worked out pretty okay for a lot of us, even if you're not an eight, I know there's a lot of you like that. Your body, your nervous system, your intuition is like, hold my beer. Hold my beer, because I'm gonna rock the freaking world. And that's what happened to me 7 years ago. My funeral was planned in 2007. And I was looking into the faces of my kids and, you know, fresh graduated from high school, and like, I'm their person. Like, what the fuck? And that's when I really got into my body. I was in a full body breakdown for a lot of different reasons that are relevant to this story. But it was the first time that I really knew and reverse engineered and understood that my body had been trying to tell me something the whole time. I tapped into the intuitive part, but still like that, I'm gonna like power through everything. The body, I've been abandoning my body since I was a little girl. And that was the first time that I was like, wow, okay. And then also at the same time, the Enneagram became trendy. And I've been using it for 6 years at that point. And it became so trendy that it pissed me off. Because I was like, these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about with this, and they're not using it in the right way that could actually transform lives. And so thankfully, a season of silence, a forced sabbatical, and enough fire in my belly to say, fuck this, I'm gonna change the way this is taught. That's how I started doing this, not on the DL. I was the e-girl on the DL, not telling anyone, because it was like this secret weapon. And because of that fire and my work in male-dominated industries, that's why I can go into a boardroom and be woo as fuck. Like, I'm so soft and cuddly, but also, as you guys have experienced, like light the room up. And so, like, it was a forced kind of season of silence that I was kicking and screaming in, not wanting it, that the divine downloads happened, and here we are.
So good. Okay, so good. Where I want to go next, because you guys are all incredibly unique. I don't know that there's really no one out there doing exactly what you guys are doing. You're subject matter experts, like in your field and the way that you're doing things. And I'd love to kind of go through each of you and just talk about, you know, talk about the birth of your business and who you serve and how you are serving business owners like me. I know with you, Erin, one of the most amazing sessions I had with you. And I'd already discovered Dr. Joe, and I was manifesting, and I was reprogramming my mind, and I was working through it. And I'm like, the 8, just do that stuff. And you're like, but sometimes you just need to slow down and feel it. And I'm like, what? No, I'm just reprogramming my brain. Just fuck that. Fuck it. Just, right? And that was really powerful, right? To like slow down and like feel these emotions and process them. And you run this whole, there's a number of different things you do, but I know that you run these programs where you actually like, you're teaching leaders how to be more informed. I'm gonna need some water, guys. I'm sorry, I got like a peanut in the back of my throat. But you're teaching leaders how to be, business owners, how to be more conscious and trauma informed. I want you to speak a little bit to the evolution of where you are today in your business and who you serve, because it's really unique.
Yeah, so I think I started in network marketing in 2012. So I've been in different iterations. I did health and wellness coaching, group fitness instructor, and then transitioned into business mindset and a lot of trauma work, attachment work, and somatic work. And some of those transitions came because I would hit walls and I wouldn't be able to like I couldn't figure out, okay, well, why do I have this wall? Or I get the conscious awareness of it and I would try to think my way out of it, kind of like I was sharing earlier. And I'd have the knowing, and a lot of you probably have a lot of knowing, a lot of conscious awareness around what's holding you back, whether that's from a personality assessment, whether that's from a book that you've read, and that's great. And what I realized for myself and a lot of people that I work with is they know, but they don't know how to actually move through it, or they're searching for, like a quick tangible thing to be able to do. And it's actually a process of getting into the body, working through it, and being able to slow down, like you were sharing earlier, to get to where you want to go. So a lot of those transitions and shifts came because I felt like there's nothing else that I could be doing strategically to get through this. Like all of this is mirroring back. I said that yesterday, like your business is a mirror of how regulated you are, how in touch with your body, your intuition, and it's always going to mirror you. And so all of those mirrors really led me to keep developing like the next thing that needed to shift.
So good, so good. What about you, Sam? Because you do some really interesting work with the sound healing, but also like the executive coaching and the spirituality piece. I mean, you've really helped me channel like my internal guidance and connectedness to source. I have made more instinctual decisions than ever before, being so tapped in by working with you, because I have more confidence in that connection in my gut.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit more to how you've evolved this business of yours and how you're working and changing the way you do business?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I was a trauma therapist for about a decade before I transitioned into the work that I'm doing now, with a little stint in the middle of not being aligned. We all do that as part of the journey, actually, to kick us into gear. But I think a lot of how I'm able to make big impact now is I've served thousands of people from a therapy standpoint. So I understand the deep psychology of people. So I can, and my mind as an 8 works so rapid. Like I can see the end before the first sentence is out of a person's mouth. So I'm like, okay, this is how we get there the fastest path, right? And that being coupled with my psychic abilities, it's like, okay, there's the human end, and then source is guiding me into maybe the specific ways that people need to hear. And for me, it's helping you untap how you hear your guidance and how you hear your gut and your instincts and your intuition. And I think we've talked about this in session before. I'm like, I can tell you, but if I told you, it wouldn't actually make a difference. So I really instill trust in the people that I work with, that all of you have the answers within you. It's just honing in the trust, learning and listening to your own body's language. And I'm not talking about cross legs and cross arms and like slouching back. I'm talking about the way that your body is speaking to you. So I had to learn for myself what that looked like so that I could learn how to teach that to other people. And so that's the kind of secret sauce that I get to mix in between the executive coaching and the sound healing. And with the sound healing, it's been a really beautiful evolution. I was never planning on being a sound healer for the masses. It was brought to me and such a divine gift I'm so grateful for. And I realized when I was starting to play that my intuitive gifts were like going through the roof. And I was like, okay, I'm tapped into this frequency all the time. There's something here and I can't be a gatekeeper of it. And my goal from when I was really little was to help impact people on a psychic and physical and spiritual and psychological level. And so, and in a really big way to as many people as possible. And sound healing was a really beautiful way for the people who were like woo curious of like, I don't know if I believe in this, but I'll lay down and listen to something, right? Like it's a really soft entry into the woo because it's science-based. And there's like all of the spirituality with it. So it's been a really graceful transition. And I think, you know, has built the trust with my clients too. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't trust me, trust yourself and trust the bowls. Because, and I always say, you can't BS the bowls. Like they will tell you exactly how you're feeling because you can't run away from your own frequency. When your own frequency is off, you feel it. So it's been a really beautiful evolution with a myriad of different things in the middle that now all make sense. But when I was in each pocket, it didn't make any sort of sense.
Totally.
So also trusting the pathway.
Yeah. Do you mind taking just a minute to speak a little bit to the science of the bowls?
Sure, yeah. So the bowls, I play with an octave, which really is just a full set. And each bowl has a different frequency that aligns with the different chakras of the body. Each chakra of the body resonates at a different frequency. And this is not a frequency that's just made up. It comes from the Fibonacci, and that's quantum physics. So if we want to go really, really deep into it, I studied physics for about 6 years. I thought I was going to be a physicist at one point.
I love that. I read that on your website and I was like hired because I used to want to be a physicist as well until I got into physics in college and I couldn't.
And then you
I
would
know
cry. So there's just so much science, and it's an ancient practice too. So it's not something new, although speaking to your point now, all of a sudden everybody's a sound healer, and I'm like, I've been here. Exactly. Exactly. Who do you think you are, right?
Fake.
Triggered.
Fake news.
Exactly. So there is just so much science behind it, and now that it is getting trendy, there's good reason. Is that now people are starting to believe it because you get to see cymatics. Cymatics is the physical form of sound. So you get to see how these vibrations take form. And that's what happens inside the body when we're laying in a sound bath. The body is doing all this beautiful sacred geometry coming into alignment. And then those of you who were in session last night, many of you who came up to me last night and today are like, I have tingling in my body. And what was this? And I had purging and expression. Well, the body is speaking and guiding you along the way through frequency alignment. So it's really deep. We can science and geek out later if you want to know more about it.
Yes, at break. Francesca, my friend, you like put rocket fuel on my practice. Just tell us a little bit about your discovery and creation of hypnobreathwork.
Yeah, so hypnobreathwork really has 3 components to it. There's breathwork, hypnosis, and visioning. And essentially, when I booked that ticket to Bali, I found myself in a 7-day breathwork retreat, and I was completely mind blown by the practice. I had been in therapy and thought I was really self-aware. I'm an 8-2, so I thought I knew everything. And when the breath took me deep into my subconscious, and I saw all of the unhealed parts of relationships and childhood and patterns and voids, I was so fascinated, and I decided to continue studying breathwork. And unbeknownst to me, I spent an entire year traveling the world and going to Peru and India and Thailand and back to Bali to go to every workshop and training and certification I could find. And I also experimented with a lot of other modalities. So there was ayahuasca, there was a 10-day silent meditation, there were Tony Robbins, Eckhart Tolle. I did all the things. And what I discovered was breathwork is so powerful, and it's the style that we teach is really more of an experiential therapy. And what that means is you're really clearing out suppressed emotions and energetic patterns from your nervous system. But I really also loved hypnotherapy because hypnotherapy allows you to start to reprogram and rewire those limiting beliefs and thoughts that play out in the background. So I thought, you know, I don't think anybody, definitely not my former New York crowd, is going to spend 2.5 hours in a breathwork session or in a hypnotherapy session. But if I combine these two things, can we create something that's more efficient, more modern, and that people can tap into quickly? And what I discovered was, with a 2-part inhale and 1-part exhale, within 4 minutes, you could access deep theta states, deep theta state brainwaves. And that's when you're more suggestible. That's when you're getting past the ego and the defense mechanisms. And you can actually get to the root of behaviors, and you can start to introduce a new belief. And that's incredibly healing. I have full body chills as I say that. And then at the end of our sessions, we really incorporate Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, which is the visioning. We want to see the future that we want to create. And then we want to feel the emotion ahead of the event. And I thought, could we do this in 22 minutes? And we can definitely do it in 22 minutes. And you guys will experience that. But the other really powerful part about our practice, because, you know, all of us up here, we're former, you know, either corporate girlies, or we've had other careers and we've had other paths. And that's what's so special about you guys as well, is you have all these skills and talents and gifts and experience, and none of it was wasted. None of it's wasted. But when you find a way to combine that with your intuition and get into alignment, you can actually create such a greater impact and live on such a higher path. And what I discovered is, okay, I'm going to put this breath and this hypnosis and this vision together. But at the end, the last signature prompt is always going to be, what's my one next intuitive action step? And that's fucking profound, because you can't just have an internal experience. Like, that's great. If you guys feel really high and light and centered and grounded today, nice. But until you take that out into your day-to-day, into your external reality, and you create real change, that's the kind of impact you create.
So good, so good. Tracy, I know we were just talking about corporate, right? And how you're working with corporations now and leadership teams, and how are you approaching the Enneagram with these corporations, and how and why are these companies embracing this and the impact that you're making?
Well, it's kind of like what Sam said, you know, the Enneagram is basically just the gateway drug, honestly, to what I do best. And, you know, early on, and so I'm not naturally a great marketer, I won't be controlled by anything, you know, all the things and all of it. So I was like, well, I know what I'm great at, and you know what I can do. But if you aren't getting in front of people, you can't transform and guide them. And because of the trendiness of it and it becoming popular and pissing me off enough, I was like, well, if it's trendy, people are interested in it. I'm over myself and my ego, knowing I'm way more than an Enneagram girl. It's just the tool, it's just the system to guide you back to your intuition and your nervous system and all the things. And because it's trendy, I'm gonna ride that wave. And, you know, and the thing with COVID too is leaders, CEOs, men, thank goodness, as well, are recognizing that they can't do things the way that they always have, and leading people virtually, and you know, all the fears in the world, and nobody's immune to, you know, a plot twist like COVID, right? Like, nobody was immune to that. And because of the energy in which I bring into the room, and not just like teaching the Enneagram, but like, okay, this is how you actually use this in leadership, in leading people, in leading your family, right? Because the home team is the most important team to me. And so I'll always do like family leadership work inside the home forever. But bringing that energy to a boardroom and saying, this is just a system. It's just a system, but it's the integrity and intent in which you are using it. If you're going to use it to manipulate the people, I'm out. I'm not your girl. I'm absolutely not your girl. But it's ironic because, you know, when we hear like the early beginnings of a lot of how we started, like I wanted to be a trauma surgeon as a little girl until I realized how much school it would take, and I'd have to be inside, and I didn't want to do that. But like the whole, like, I'm raised in trauma, I want to do trauma surgeon, but not with the feelings. And then when I didn't want to do that, I actually went to college to run into burning buildings. Like, I was going to be a firefighter, paramedic, and actually got hired to do that, and was excited about it. Like, I am that girl. right? And then that didn't, I had 2 babies, so that kind of decided that wasn't gonna do it. And then I went into selling cars, like the most masculine energy, like industry you could be in. And I loved power, but my soul hated it. Every aspect of it, but all of those little things, like now we do soul surgery and we're soul strategists. Like you can have all the business strategy in the world. And I tell like CEOs and corporate teams, like strategy absolutely will get you places, but the wheels will fall off. 100%. And if you don't have a soul strategy to back this up, what's it all for anyway? And so that's kind of the energy I bring. They're like, Jesus, okay, we need that. Whatever that is, let's do that.
Yeah.
And then tool of the Enneagram is just like, it's a framework that in a shared language that they can all use, but with the oomph behind it.
Totally, so good. What I would love to do next is maybe some recent client breakthroughs, not, without disclosing any kind of confidentiality, but given you guys have very different modalities in which you help business owners really radically change and become self-aware, become, evolved humans in what they do. I'm curious if you can just think through kind of your registry of like recent clients. Like I think about Francesca, I talked about this yesterday. I did the self-love workshop with our VIPs. And I talked about how like I thought going to Bali, I was pretty good. We go through those 4 stages of love. Like I thought, I'd really evolved through like most of the phases till we got to the forgiveness piece. And I could like cry about it again today. But going through the breath work in Bali, I realized that I had a lot of shame and guilt still embedded in my nervous system that I wasn't even really aware of about the previous mother that I was before doing all of this work. And this regret that I was carrying deep within my subconscious about feeling bad about being what I felt was like a bad person prior to who I was today. And this regret and this like sense of remorse for what I kind of missed with my kids during that time. But had I not done the breath work and I'd not processed it, I would have never been able to come home and have those beautiful conversations with my children. And it was so healing to my soul and creates such an energetic shift with me in all aspects of life, right? And this is where the woo shift changes people, right? So after sharing my own little story, do you guys have any recent breakthroughs with clients and the way you work with them that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think the big one that's always a common theme is like safety and your body is the medicine. Like it's the one thing, if you have that everything's gonna respond. So it's like the manifestations, a lot of the people that I work with, they have big goals, huge dreams, they have all of these things that they're calling in, but they don't realize unconsciously why they're kind of keeping it at an arm's length. And so sometimes that can be, okay, can I actually hold this? Can I actually receive this? Can I digest this? Is it safe for it to stay? Is it gonna leave? Is it gonna come back? Can I keep recreating this? And so they'll kind of like they'll desire it, but they'll keep it out here. And so actually letting them feel like it is safe to be able to hold that and to regulating their nervous system while they're on that upward trajectory, whether they have an event that they're stepping into, whether they have a big launch goal. It's like, again, like your body has to feel safe in order to receive that. And what they realize is like everything is going to respond in their life to that in their nervous system. So I think that's always kind of the big thing that we come back to is like, do you feel safe in your body to actually let that land, or what's the unconscious stuff that's coming up that's holding you back that we can release and create that space?
Good, so good.
Gosh, I mean, it feels like every day when I work with clients, there's a big breakthrough, honestly, and it's so beautiful to witness and to be like even a minute part of the journey. But I should really put a warning sign on my website that says, caution, you do not work with me if you don't want your life to change. Because it does, like people's lives drastically change, whether that be safety in the body, it's so important, or trusting those instincts, right? I just had a client, I've been working with him for years, and he's gone on such a massive journey, and he never listened to his body. And we were in session, and he was like, you know what, something just went off. And we did some energy work, and then the next day and this guy was never one to go to the doctor, okay? He went to the doctor. He is now on the other side of his cancer journey, but he trusted himself, and he listened to those instincts, and he's alive. So that's huge. And I've had people, and not to say that this is true for everybody who I work with, so don't worry, but conscious uncoupling, but like really, really in a beautiful way, not in a destructive way where you leave your partnership resenting or being mad. It's actually a beautiful landing of the plane and the karmic journey. So that people left corporate to go start their own spiritual practices, or something that's just like the passion that's deep in their root, that's been with them from the beginning or even lifetimes ago. So there's honestly a breakthrough every day. And like something big happened for this event specifically, a breakthrough in one of ours, that I won't like out anything, but like this event could have looked a little bit different.
A lot different. I mean, the one thing I'll say with an example with you is, and I think we spoke to this earlier, but like, you've taught me how to tune into my intuition, make radical decisions. And I made a very radical decision for this event based off of working with you. And it's because of that, this event has gone beautifully. Yes.
And without stress.
Yes.
Well, maybe some, but like not what
Yes.
it could have been.
Healthy stress. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like Sam, I'm sort of a catalyst for people quitting their corporate jobs and feeling really empowered to start their own endeavor. And I think also what you shared, Melissa, there's a lot of times that people go through my healing the mother wound and healing the father wound session where it's deeply cathartic for them, but then they also have realizations of how they've been parenting and maybe they've been really hard on their children and there's been a lot of projection there. But the example that feels like it's kind of being downloaded through me right now to share that's a bit intense is I had a man who was 56 years old, and he had joined my Unlock Your Purpose program, and he had the intention of leaving a legacy for his kids. And he thought that he was blocked because he had quote unquote failed as an entrepreneur. He had gone into $1 million in debt and he paid it all back so that he wouldn't go bankrupt. And so logically and consciously, we thought that was the fear of him pursuing entrepreneurship again. So he did his first breathwork session ever. He joined this program without ever doing breathwork before. He comes out and he's very emotional and he's crying. And we're like, how did it go? And he was like, wow, I went back to a time when I was 5 years old and I had been molested. And I have not touched that memory in decades. And I just realized that that was the block from me pursuing my legacy. And he's like, the only clue I had towards my purpose was that I wanted to protect people. And in that session, I realized that I couldn't protect my sister, and that's where it came from. The work is
So good. So good. What about you, Tracy?
No, like, I gotta say, watching you and your team up there earlier, like, I got teary-eyed. Seeing the full range of personality up here and how you so beautifully lead them and how they so beautifully lead themselves, and listening to Lisa and her beautiful Enneagram 2 way, who is an overgiver naturally, right? And say, like, just because I can doesn't mean I should, like she gets it, right? Like, she really truly in her whole soul gets it. And I see thousands of examples of that in the work that I'm so grateful to do every day. And what I love about like the breakthroughs that I have, and I am all on board with all of these three ladies' work, and the somatics and the energy and the intuition and all of that, and where I come in a little bit differently. And Sam and I had a beautiful experience with you earlier, where you were talking about the experience that you had yesterday with her, and that, I'm not gonna go into that, but how she explained that to you, and then I kind of hit your objection before you even verbalized it. And what I love about the work that I'm blessed to do is when we default into, you know, our best thinking sometimes, and even if we have done this work and we're humans, and me and Melissa, like we're in this work that these beautiful women do every day, and life is gonna happen and kick you in the teeth, and you're gonna go into default. And what I love about the way that I help you integrate this tool of the Enneagram in your life is it stops it so that you can get back into the body and the nervous system and your intuition in ways, because you have an understanding of why this just took you off the rails and you just flew off the cliff and holy shit, you're about to sabotage your life or self-abandon or whatever that looks like for you. And just really seeing people get it, compassionately take action. You know, when you sign up to say, I want to be an impact maker in your life, like I said earlier, you're going to be misunderstood and it will freaking disrupt everything about your life. And that's what's required. To whom much is given, much is required. And with great reward comes great responsibility. But knowing that you know what to do and how to handle it elegantly in a way that's most effectively, like that, like, God, if I am, you know, God forbid, taken out tomorrow from this life, like I have done and helped facilitate and been the wizard behind the curtain. That's like my favorite role. Like I'm the speed dial person when high level people are about to get on stage. I'm fucking losing my mind. And I'm like, I love it. Like if I'm taken tomorrow, like my job here is done and I'm so happy about it.
So good. My gosh, this is such an incredible conversation. And what I love about bringing you guys all up here. You guys can tell, like, they're absolute experts in different swim lanes, in different modalities that are kind of some intertwined, some not, and really the inner work that unlocks people and expands them. And I told you today was a lot about the inner piece so that tomorrow we can expand, go into business strategy. And I just love and appreciate every single one of you guys. And I'm so glad you're here. One of the really, really cool things, we have a special treat for you guys after this next workshop. These two ladies are going to collaborate. I told you guys earlier, I called it dessert. There's dessert. So lucky. Yeah, it's going to be so good as our closing session, where if you've not experienced breath work and you've not experienced sound, your world is going to be turned upside down this afternoon. You're going to be able to experience these ladies really, really nice.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing, Laura, because you called this, you know, the woo portion of it, and I know that that can be off-putting for some people. So I just want you guys to know that I don't consider this stuff woo, because to me, being able to hear your intuition, trust yourself, have extreme mental clarity, cognition, retention, articulation, problem-solving, decision-making, that sounds like ultimate peak performance to me. And that's what every business professional, entrepreneur could really use and really needs. So I hope that you guys go into our session really open, ready to receive.
Yes, so well said. Love that. Yeah. So guys, a 20-minute break. I want you back. The agenda is 10 minutes off. We want you back right at 4 o'clock on the nose. Okay, right at 4 o'clock on the nose. All right, thank you.